It's Emancipation Day, and today we're taking a very special drive, a journey into history. A journey through the 10 districts of Saint Lucia to discover the stories hidden in their names, from the hills where the Neg Mawon fought for freedom and challenged the European colonizers, to the beautiful coastal bays that inspire some of the truly wonderful names of our towns and districts. These names, Grosili, Ancillary, Soufriere, these aren't just labels on a map. They carry the weight of history, the power of resistance, and the spirit of who we are as St. Lucians. Each district has a story, each name a meaning, and we're about to find out just what they say about us as a people. But first, we're going to pick up Oneka McKoy, our co-pilot on this journey. Hey, morning.
What's up, Shayne?
I'm good.
So, where are we headed to today?
We're going everywhere. We're making a full circle. We're going all the way down to go to Grosili, and then we're gonna go around down the west coast, and then loop back up and visit all of the districts. So we're doing a full circle.
Okay.
So off to Grosili first.
All right, so let's go find out about the soul of the district.
All right, so Oneka, we're off. We've picked up the crew.
Yeah.
Pierre and Warren, guys, say hi.
What's up? Hi.
Yeah?
What's up?
Let me just put on my seatbelt there before police stop.
Yeah, safety
Right.
first. Okay.
Good. All right, so we're off to Grosili. Yeah? And that's our first stop.
That's right, our
All
first
right.
stop.
But before we start, Oneka, before we get to our first district, let's just do a quick recap about the districts. Can you tell us a little bit about the districts?
Okay, I think I know a little bit about the district, Shayne. So we have 10 districts, and the districts are historical and administrative divisions. And our district system is based on the French quartiers? Quartiers or quarters,
yeah,
the quarters
right,
system,
yeah.
quarters system. Okay, so if we're starting from the north, you'd have Grosili, Castries, Ancillary Canneries, Soufriere, then Choiseul, Labrie, Day4 coming up, Miku and Dennery.
Dennery, yes.
Now, Shayne, I believe before 2010, there would have been about 12 districts.
Yeah, we always used to learn about 12 districts, which included Dauphin and Prame.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I guess we can explain more about that
when we
a
get
little
to this,
later on.
so we could be more specific, we'll explain why now we have 10 districts instead of 12 districts. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Now, Oneka, the other thing, you'd probably be the best person to explain that to us. You worked at the electoral office, right?
Yes, I did.
So we have 10 districts, but we have 17 constituencies. What's the difference between the districts and the constituencies?
But Mrs. Shayne, that's like 20 years ago. I'll try to see if I can remember. Okay, so we have 17 constituencies, as you mentioned, and that's basically for elections purposes, right? So we've carved out the constituencies, so that would better give us more representation in Parliament, or better representation in Parliament as well.
For the various populations.
There you go. Okay. So you have places like Castries, Day4, Dennery, and Miku. They were split up.
Right.
So that's why we now have 10 districts, and we have 17 electoral constituencies.
Right. Okay, because these are large populations. But places like Canneries and Ancillary, that's 2 districts, but then they form one constituency
because
of the smaller population. Okay, great.
And then you have places that are growing significantly like Rosalie. So nothing strange, you might get some
More constituents,
additional
yes.
electoral constituencies maybe in the near future.
Okay, so here's something interesting to note,
Mm-hmm.
Oneka. We're actually driving to Grozile town. All right. Now in Saint Lucia, I noted that all of the districts have the same name as the main town and the bay where that town is situated in St. Lucia. That is very unlike other Caribbean islands. So, for example, like Barbados, the parishes in Barbados, they're not called districts, they're called parishes. Parishes in Barbados, St. Philip, St. Andrew, St.
Right.
George, these are some of them. And then, so for example, in St. Michael Parish,
Right.
you have the main town, Bridgetown, Barbados.
Right.
Okay. It's the same in Grenada, in St. Vincent, in Dominica,
So that's like all the islands are like this.
Antigua, Anguilla. Not all the islands. There are only 2 other islands that are like St. Lucia. So it looks like it's like a French system because it's 2 other French islands,
okay.
Martinique and Guadeloupe.
Guadeloupe.
So the quartier or the
The
district
quarter system
has
as well.
the same name as the main town or bay where it is situated in the district. So, for example, we have Grozile district,
Right.
and the main town is Grozile, and it's located on Grozile Bay,
Rosalie Bay.
right? Or on the maps, especially the old maps, it was Us the Grozile. And then the same thing for Ancillary. Ancillary Village is in Ancillary Bay or Ancillary, and the district takes the name. Soufrière is the same thing. Vieux-Fort takes the name of the district. Miku Village, as well, the district takes the name of the town, and the same for Dennery.
Okay. Merci, Shayne. It's a lot to take in, but
Yes.
for me, I'm realizing we're going to stop at a village or a town.
Yes.
And that's the name that
That's
has
the
the
name
name of the
Of
district.
the district, that's right. Because that's how all of them are. Yeah.
So then in that situation, Shayne, would you know which came first? Would it be the name of the district or the town
Or
of
the
Bay?
town, right.
Like which got its name first?
Aha, that's a very good question. So, in the old maps, and we're talking about maps from the 18th century, as far as early as 1758, we have the names of the bays already,
Okay.
and we don't have towns established there. So, this first district that we're in Grozile.
Rosalie.
Okay? On the old map, it has Us, the Grozile, and then there was no town or village set up there yet.
As yet.
Okay, and the same applies to ancillary canneries. In Choiseul, actually Choiseul was not called Choiseul at all. So Choiseul, Miku, Dennery, these came later. They had other names. Okay, so Choiseul was called Assiton. Yes.
Wow.
And
That's very interesting.
yes,
Shayne.
Labry was Ansachal or Anscawet because of the big island. There was a big island. They will talk about that later when we get to Labry.
Okay.
Dennery was Asconot. So these, as the towns emerged, and then they started to really establish the villages and so on. They changed the names of the
Names
villages,
changed,
and then
okay.
the districts now took these names when they established the formal districts
The district
for each of
system.
them. Yeah.
Okay, so that was all the theory. And Shayne, that's one thing you're really good at. Say every time we do this, I learn a lot of new things about Saint Lucia, which is pretty cool and very interesting. But now we have to get out into the field. So our first stop will be
Grozile.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is our first stop, Grozile. We're seated at Grozile Town. You can see Pigeon Island in the background. And Grozile Town once used to be a very quiet little fishing village, but now it's home to the very famous Friday night street party,
Right.
bustling Rodney Bay with all of its hotels and restaurants and so on. And of course, the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground is part of this district as well. So this is our first stop. The district takes the name from the town here, Grosile, which took the name from the bay, us, the Grosile.
With that said, we know Grosili is French for big islands, and the area was named after the early French settlers as well. And of course, it referenced again the large islets in the bay. And so Pigeon Island is a real island.
Right.
And that was before it was connected to the mainland by the causeway in 1972. And she remember you showed me, we pointed out to that. You can see that right behind us.
Yes.
It's clearly represented behind
It's a large island, right? Now, a lot of people don't know that and don't realize that, but at one point, you literally had to take a boat to go to Pigeon Island.
From the mainland to Pigeon Island.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Pigeon Island, well, we know that it was an old military base, and of course, you would still have some remains from Fort Rodney and the barracks, and it was supposedly a hideout for a pirate named Jam de Bois.
That's right.
Isn't there a bar?
There used to be a restaurant there called the Jam de Bois. Okay, and that's a lot of other little interesting histories as well. There are people who, I think there was an American writer or movie star at one time who rented the old island, and then she was actually living on the island for a bit. But yeah,
to have that whole spot for yourself.
for yourself, yeah. But in more recent history, Pigeon Island actually housed a radio signal station on the top of one of the peaks. That's during World War II.
Right.
And you know, the entire this entire area, all of Rodney Bay, was actually part of an air base. And you could see remnants of that still if you go down closer to Redway. You could see those pillars where the gate would have been, so you could enter the air base. And up on Mont Pima, there used to be bunkers in there. And then closer to Mont Pima, you could see gun mounts and so on. Right, and the ramp was all part. Yes,
strip as well.
That's right. Okay, so can you name some of the communities in this district? I mean, you know Grosile town already.
Yes.
What else do you know?
And based on the fact that I live in the Grosile district now,
Yes.
so you have Corinth, you have Vadouche, you have Marisil, you also have Cap Estate, Moshi, Grand Riviere. I'm sure there's more. Am I missing anything?
There's a lot more. There's so much more.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Remember when you said earlier we were talking about the districts and we said there used to be 12 districts.
Right.
Now there are 10 districts. So Dauphin used to be a district, and Dauphin is on the other side, closer to Monchy side. And Dauphin used to be between Grosile and Dennery. So after the 2010 census, Grosile, the Dauphin district was absorbed by Grosile, making Grosile a much bigger district. So Grosile stretches.
The 10 instead of the
That's
the 12.
right. There was another one that was also absorbed. When we get to that district, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
So Grosile stretches from Shock River
Right.
all
That's
the
like
way
the
up.
boundary, okay.
Yes, all the way up. Covers the whole tip of the northern parts of the island. Goes down the east coast all the way down to Dennery, right at Louvet. So you have places like all of La Bonne. It covers some areas that are part of Babonneau as well, like La Guerre, Gara, Debarra. All of these places are now in the Grosile district. And you already mentioned Monchy, so all of Monchy. So we have Magritude, Deramo. There's so many, a lot of different places. So Grosile district has a total area of 48.7 square miles with a population of 20,872 people. It's one of the biggest districts, and it is the third largest district out of the 10 in Saint Lucia.
All right, Shayne. So I think we've covered everything on the Big Islet District.
Yes.
So we're going to say goodbye to the Big Islet District, and now we're going to be heading south.
Yep. Next district is?
Castries?
Castries, that's right. All right. So Castries, here we come. Look out for us. We're on our way. All right. So Oneka, we just crossed the Shock Bridge going into the Shock roundabout. Do you know what that means?
So we're leaving the Grosile district. We're heading into the Castries district. So Shayne, would that mean that the Shock River is the boundary for the district?
You are absolutely correct. So from way back when they started to map out the districts, the rivers, some of the main rivers were actually the boundaries for the districts. So, for example, the Castries district starts from the Shock River and ends the Roseau River. And then ancillary district starts after that.
Okay.
And that has created some very interesting situations, let's call it that, with people living in certain places. For example, in Canaries, people who lived on the other side of the river, which was the boundary with the Soufrière district, technically once they crossed that river, they lived in Soufrière. So for their property taxes, they actually had to pay their property taxes in the Soufrière district and not in the Canaries district.
Wow, Shayne. So as we're entering Castries, Shayne, for you, what are some of the most interesting place names you know here?
Oh, well, where we're passing right now, we're here. We're almost there, I think.
Almost?
Yes. Yeah, almost there. So we'll soon be in a place called Vide-Bouteille. Vide-Bouteille is a very interesting name for me. Now, grammatically, both in French and in Creole, it would be wrong if we have to take it for as it's the spelling and how we say it. Vide-Bouteille, you'd think it means empty bottle, but grammatically, Vide-Bouteille should be bouteille vide.
Right.
Okay? But I have a theory though. We've had a tendency over the years to fuse words sometimes in the French as we anglicize place names and so on. So for example, ba, bon, o. We don't split it up. It's supposed to be 3 words. We just say ba, bon, o. And ba de lil became bad lil.
Bad lil, flat out, because who breaking that down?
That's right. That's called rebracketing in linguistics, where the boundaries of words kind of start to fade and you get new sounds and new meanings.
So they're merged,
right,
and
merged. So I have a theory that this is not supposed to be Vide-Bouteille, but Vide-Bouteille, which would mean life of bottle. Yeah. Now, whatever the meaning is, whatever we take it to mean, whether it's Vide-Bouteille as empty bottle or Vide-Bouteille, life of bottle, it's still a very strange name.
Very interesting, because what would be the background history for life of bottle?
Yeah, so this place would be must have been a fun place at one time. What would the background history for empty bottle, for you to call a place empty bottle? What about you? What are some interesting place names for you?
I think I have a few, Shayne, because when you think of like Babono, you have Cabiche, Balata, and then if we're heading down Kubaril, Cicero, even La Panse, and then from La Panse now think of like Bois Patat. For me, Bois Patat, Potato Wood. How did you end up? Was it a situation where it sounded better? Of course, it sounds better in the Creole than when you actually translate it, because we're not going around saying, "Oh, hi, I'm from Potato Wood." So those for me are very interesting. How did we come up with these? What is the significance and the stories behind these
names and the meanings? Well, that's for another show. I think at some point what we could do is just go around Castries and look at the place names in Castries and find the meanings behind them and the history behind these names.
And even people you talk to from the community might have their own theories of what they would have been growing up.
By the way, we're going to Bois Patat.
Hey, what we put Bois Patat?
The view.
What a beautiful view. The whole city of Castries is laid out beneath us.
Right before you, almost as if you could just jump into the city.
I'm not jumping there. Not Shayne.
So what can you tell us about Castries?
Okay, let's see what I remember, Shayne. So originally, the place was known as Carinage, a French word meaning safe anchorage.
That's right.
It was moved and rebuilt several times, of course, we knew after the fires and the battles. And it's the island's capital, our political, economic, and cultural heart.
That's right.
And it got its name from, let me see if I get that right. It got its name from Charles Eugene Gabriel Delacroix. He was the Marquis de Castries.
That's right.
A French minister in the Navy.
That's right. Okay, you got it. Now you could actually see a bust of the Marquis de Castries in George V Park, just over there.
The gardens.
What we call the gardens.
When
now.
we did the street names.
That's right.
Yes.
So if you want more information and you want to see exactly where he is, there's a bust of him right there.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Castries, as you said, the name changed quite a bit, especially during the French Revolution. The name of Castries and the name of Saint Lucia changed to reflect the mood of the revolution at the time.
Right.
So Saint Lucia, for example, in 1791 was renamed Saint Lucia la Fidèle, which means the faithful, in recognition of our support for the French Revolution.
Oh,
Castries became Felicityville, meaning City of Joy.
City of Joy. Can we keep that?
I know, right?
We need to have a big sign saying you are now entering the City of Joy.
City of Joy.
And that's everybody happy. You have a little drink, you live your life, you have no worries, no stress.
Exactly. But that was short-lived because in 1794, the British recaptured Castries. And the commander of that army at the time, he was Prince Edward, he renamed Montfortune in honor of his mother, and he called it Fort Charlotte. So he took down the tricolor, the flag of the French, took that down, put up the Union Jack, called it Fort Charlotte, and then Castries was renamed Charlottesville. Yeah, I prefer the French
And that's
names.
why we said we prefer the French names. We can stick with that.
French names. Yeah. Yeah, so even the names have changed and shifted and carried the weight of different empires over the years.
That is correct. What else can you tell us, Shayne?
Castries is a huge district. It is the second largest district in Saint Lucia in terms of area, but the largest district in terms of population. So Castries spans from the Shock River all the way down to the Rosa River.
Okay.
And then it kind of goes down. Another boundary.
Okay.
It goes down into the interior and touches all the way down into the Soufrière district. So it passes behind Ancillary, behind Canaries, and then it touches Dennery on the east, Soufrière, and Mico. So Castries is huge. So Castries actually is 39.65 square miles in area with a population of 65,656 residents according to the 2010 census. Some of the communities include Sunny Acres, Vigy, Leclerc, Vide-Bouteille, Marchand, Derefort, parts of Babonneau, Badeny, Fontmagier, Marigot, Cooleytown, Sarot, Bexor, Saint-Diffé, L'Abbaye, all the way down to Ravin-Poisson. All of these and more are in Castries.
Wait, Shayne, so you said all the way to Soufrière?
Yeah, all the way to Soufrière. So it actually has a boundary with the Soufrière district. As I said, it goes down the center of the island, okay? And then Soufrière also comes up to the center of the island, just behind Ancillary and Canaries.
So even parts of the forest reserve would
Parts
be
of
in
the forest
Castries?
reserve are in Castries. That is very correct.
Oh,
okay?
Pretty interesting facts today.
Yes. Okay. All right. So we should head south now.
All right.
Okay. I think our next stop is
Ancillary.
Ancillary. All right. Let's go. Yeah.
Shayne, for you, which district do you think, I don't even know why I'm asking you that, but I will still ask, which district do you think has the most beautiful name? If you had to choose one.
That's why you said you don't know why you're asking me that, because the answer is obvious. Of course, I'm going to say the district with the most beautiful name is Canaries. Canaries. It has a nice ring. It just, just flows off your tongue, and it has a subtle romanticism. I'll explain later when we get to Canaries.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about that. Say, Shayne,
yeah.
I think my favorite would be Choiseul, but we anglicize.
Right.
So Choiseul is pronounce it for me.
Choiseul.
Choiseul. And I love that. It sounds so French, just like how you did it.
Exactly.
So I love that.
Yes.
And then maybe I would say Ancillary, which is where we're headed to next. So
that's right. Ancillary.
Ancillary.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Shayne. So this is Ancillary Village, and of course, it also gives the district its name.
Yeah.
And so we know that Anstare means Bay of Rays, named after stingrays that supposedly fill the waters at some point in time. So you were explaining to me, do you think that stingrays
Most
fill the
likely because the
waters?
French had a tendency to name the places after some kind of feature that they found interesting in the
Okay.
place. It could have actually been just the day that they first came. On that day, there were a lot of
They saw
stingrays
all the
there, so they call it
stingrays.
ancillary. Doesn't mean that it was always filled with stingrays, but
Okay.
that's how they named places.
Understood.
Yeah.
So now we know it is also one of the smaller districts, coming in at about 14.52 square miles, stretching from the Rosa River, that would be its northern point, to Ansgalet, which would be more of the southern border with canneries.
Canneries, yes.
And then you go east into the forest, and then I think south
It
to
goes
border
south
Soufrière.
to border
To
Soufrière, so
border
all the way
Soufrière.
into the forest. Yes.
And then the population is about 6,060 people.
Yeah.
Very,
And
again, smaller district.
small district, and that population is not just in the village. It's scattered across a number of communities, from here in the village to Roseau, Jacmel, Fondo Rouge, Mondor, Delago, Boisden, Monciso, Millet,
Wow.
Tetchime. Yes, a lot of communities going all the way up. And then here's an interesting fact. The entire Roseau River, the source is in the mountains of Soufrière.
Okay.
Okay, the entire river from the source in the mountains of Soufrière, all the way down to Roseau. It comes from the forest, heads north, then comes across the west, and then empties into Roseau Bay. That entire river forms the border of the ancillary district.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible how a single river can shape an entire district's identity and boundary. And when you think about it, each of these communities you named has its own character, its own heartbeat.
That's right. And now even Ancillary is placing its mark as a fishing village known for its Friday night fish fry. Okay. All right. So let's head out. We're heading to my favorite place. Can you guess where that is?
Should I, Shayne? Should I really guess where that is?
You don't need to guess.
You
We're
know
going
what?
now. So let's go.
Just go.
Yeah.
Next stop, Shayne, is canneries.
What do you
would
think
know.
of when you hear canneries, Oneka? When you hear somebody say canneries, what comes to mind?
Canneries bread.
Of course. Yeah.
Bread or cassava, Shayne. We cannot pass and not stop and buy
You
cassava.
cannot go down the west coast and not stop and buy cassava. So, question:
Saltfish cassava.
that's your favorite one?
That's one of my favorites. It's food for the soul.
Yes, it's
A
very
good
nice.
saltfish. I like salty food, so.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you?
It's a little spicy and so on. So
It
it's
has
really
good
nice.
flavor, good seasoning.
Yeah. It's good, but my favorite cassava is cherry cassava. Anything with cherry in it is heavenly. Okay? And this is not just me saying that, I've been told that a number of times. So anything
with cherry is-
anything with cherry in it is heavenly. So for me it's cherry cassava.
Lord Kosi, I not seen it, sorry.
That's it. Are we stopping to buy cassava?
Yes, Shayne, we are stopping to buy cassava.
It's good, it's hot.
You want bread and cheese?
They want bread and cheese.
It's nice.
Very nice. The bread and cheese too.
So this is Canneries Village on the Canneries Bay, hometown to Shayne Cherry. Now some say it's also named after the Cannawi pots, and those were used by the Amerindians. They're little clay cooking pots, and you can also probably find some of them in some traditional
find
Saint
them.
Lucian kitchens. Shayne, I'm sure you have one.
They say that's the best way to cook your food, especially a bouillon, because
all the flavor
all
and
the flavor is in there and it keeps the food warm and nice.
in the Cannawi pot. So I don't know, maybe they were, traded. They could have been made right here in the village, or they could have been traded along this coastal village. Now, some people also believe that the French settlers, they thought the terrain of canneries reminded them of the Canary Islands. and so they decided to name it after the Canary Islands.
Yeah. Now I have a tendency to believe the latter. Okay?
About the
Because
Canary Islands?
About the Canary Islands. I've actually heard both of them, but I have a tendency to believe the latter. That's the romanticism I was telling you about.
You did mention
right?
that, Shayne.
So a place named after the memory and beauty of another place. All right. The thing is, first and foremost, I haven't been able to see the link between the clay pots in the area.
Right.
Even though we have some Amerindian descendants living in Anslavedi, where we bought the cassava.
Right.
So these people are said to be direct descendants of Amerindians, but still in the village, I haven't seen or heard of any link with Amerindians. But on the old French maps that I looked at, so as far back as 1758, the area is listed, this area is listed as Lake Canawi. And that translates to, can I have a drum roll? The Canaries.
Okay, so that's why you said the latter.
That's why I believe the latter. But whether it's spots or people,
Right.
one thing is certain that this district is forged in isolation. And also in resistance.
It is very true, and Canaries is one of the most remote districts in Saint Lucia. And if you just look at it, we have mountains hugged on one side and the open sea on the next side. And they've also said that the Maroons would have used the hills as their escape routes. And I think that was a very good plan of escape. And then many oral histories speak of old trails, some now long overgrown. Shayne, would you have seen any of those though?
Well, they will always talk about these trails. I wouldn't have seen any of them myself,
Right.
but people had always mentioned
The
them,
stories are
especially
there.
older people. Robert DeVoe had discovered and documented a bunch of brigand sites in the hills of Canaries.
Okay.
So these were from, he had ovens and trails and tunnels. Even right there, right above that hill there,
Right.
above the cliff there. There was a brigand oven there, and then there was a big hole that we always used to see. And some of the older guys told me, even as children, they found this there, and some of the animals would fall in there. It was really, really deep. So they eventually, at one point, they just covered it and filled it up. But it was documented. The elders would remind us that these mountains were the same ones that people who fought and who ran for the
passed on that
freedom
knowledge,
were in there.
stories. They
And
guided you.
Right. We were walking the same paths, we were walking in the same places,
True.
breathing the same air. And that's the history that shaped us, and just made us who we are.
I love that, Shayne. And just before we move on, just to give you some more information about Canaries, it is the smallest district at only about 9.38 square miles with a population of about 2,044 people. That was from the census, I think, in 2010. And there aren't too many communities. You have the main ones being Anslavedi, Belvedere, as well as the Canaries village.
There's also one more interesting fact before we leave. Okay. Mount Jimmy is located in the Canaries district and not in Soufrière.
Oh, so you think that's something you want to tell the Soufrière people as well?
Well, I'm sure they know that right now. The only thing is that
Very
the easiest
interesting.
access to Mount Jimmy,
Okay.
you can get to Mount Jimmy from Canaries, right? But the easiest access to Mount Jimmy is through communities in Soufrière, through
Soufrière.
Fosse Jacques. And that's it. So let's
where
head
we
out
headed
to
to
Sulphur
now?
City right now. All right, Canaries, goodbye. I'll see you another time.
Now, this next stop, every child in Saint Lucia knows from kindergarten, Shayne. This literally represents Saint Lucia in children's minds. You draw it as a child and you just put the sun right in between and you have your portrait.
Absolutely. The real symbols of Saint Lucia. I mean, I think people who knew about Saint Lucia before Julian Alfred, Julian Alfred is the new symbol of Saint Lucia.
That's right.
People who knew Saint Lucia before that, this was the iconic symbol that they represented, or they knew represented Saint Lucia, the twin pitons. So for me, the pitons are to Saint Lucia what the Eiffel Tower is to Paris, or what the pyramids are to Egypt.
Makes sense. And also, Shayne, don't forget the world's only drive-in volcano.
That's true. That's right. I haven't been there in a while. I must go there.
Neither me. Yeah. Go and take a little soak.
Take a little soak. And
Rejuvenate yourself.
That's right.
And finally, we are here in Sulphur City.
Soufre, that's right.
Now, I will put out my disclaimer early. Shayne gave me a lot of information about Soufre that we want to share with you. So I'm going to be using my phone if you'll see me looking up and down, because I want to ensure that the information is correct. And again, Soufre is steeped in a lot of history.
A lot of history. This place is like the beginning of everything for Saint Lucia.
And it's important for us to know about our history, to know and understand where we're going. The town of Soufre and the entire district was named by the French during their dominance in the 1700s. The name Soufre is French for sulfur in the air, a reference to the area's volcanic activity. Now, the French used the same name for other Caribbean islands, including parts of St. Vincent, Dominica, Guadeloupe, and Montserrat. This Soufre, it was the first capital of Saint Lucia. And I know a lot of people know that, but it's always good to remind them. So Soufre again was the first capital of Saint Lucia, and it was known for wealthy plantation zones as well as a center of rebellion. Now, during the turbulent period of the French Revolution in Saint Lucia, from 1789 to 1797, Soufre emerged as the epicenter of both a revolutionary fervor and the enslaved people's fight for liberation. We needed that freedom. In 1971, enslaved people on a Soufre estate demanded their freedom from the French royalists. But get this, they were only to be brutally punished with executions and public displays meant to intimidate others.
That's right. They actually cut their heads off. Yes, and then they put them in a public place so everybody could see them. Okay, but by 1795, with military support from Victor Hugo of Guadeloupe, hundreds of local revolutionaries and former slaves rose up, and they formed what the British call Armée Française de la Bois, or the Brigands, and we know them as the Neg Mawon. And these Neg Mawon freedom fighters rose from these hills to resist both French royalists at first, and then British colonial forces. During the Brigand Wars, the British viewed Soufre as key to reclaiming control of the island.
Now, we have, the fighting, we have the slavery, the revolution, but there's also a deep spiritual significance for the island's earliest inhabitants right here in Soufre. The Arawaks, they actually worship the iconic Pitos as gods. And you can understand that. Piti Pito, called Atibira, symbolize fertility and sustenance. And if you look at Piti Pito, both of the Pitos in terms of their greenery and that lush vegetation, you can understand that. And then Go Pito, known as Yokahu, I hope I pronounced that properly.
Yes.
Okay, represented fire, thunder, and the rain. Now, they also believe their god spirits rested in the boiling waters of the sulfur springs. The Caribs revert the springs as a powerful deity, throwing in, hold up. This is where it gets really interesting and even a little scary for me, Shayne. So the Caribs revered the springs as a powerful deity, throwing in virgins as sacrifices to calm the gods. Say what now?
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All of this is Soufre.
Yes.
The area became known as Kwalibu, the place of death, marking Soufre as a sacred site of reverence, fear, and ritual, the place of death.
That's right.
There's so much power in this information.
So all of this is considered the Soufre Volcanic Center and considered to be the caldera of the volcano that erupted. And it's actually called the Kwalibu Caldera, all of this. All right. So right now we're standing in the Kwalibu Caldera. And the center of the Kwalibu Caldera, is the sulfur springs, more or less the closest to the center, right? So it's still a geothermally active area.
Very much so.
Now the district of Soufre extends from the Canries River in the north, where we saw, and all the way down to the Livroin River, which would form the border, which was, you heard of Anse-Livroin?
Yes.
So this is the river that's flowing into Anse-Livroin. Okay?
So just Livroin.
So right next to that is La Puerta and Del Se, and this place is
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Wow.
So these are the boundaries of the Soufre, north and south. And of course it goes all the way into the forest, and it forms a border with, we hear that, with Castries and with Ancillary. Right?
That's true.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right. So this district is roughly 22.55 square miles in area, with a population of 7,657 according to the 2010 census. And communities in Soufrière include the town itself, and then we have Fort Jacques, Zeno, Rabot, Belfort, Myers Bridge. We also two communities to be believed rooted early liberation in the fight for freedom is Bouton, which is believed to be one of the earliest free communities or free villages, and Fongelib, which is a community nestled on the southern base of Gopiton, believed to be a settlement of liberated people.
Free people, I love that. And so we know again Soufrière is steeped in history, and it's currently one of the most visited districts. So by tourists, of course, they come to the waterfalls. You have the amazing beach, you have forest trails, the sulfur springs, mineral baths, and the pitons, and much more other attractions. And so now we do have to continue our journey, Shayne, and we're continuing south, right?
Yes.
We're continuing all the way south, and I am looking forward to this one.
What's that?
Our next district.
What are you looking forward to?
More names.
Oh, the names.
But nothing like Place of
Choiseul.
Death.
No, nothing like Place of Death. So let's head out. Choiseul, here we go.
Okay, so heading to Choiseul, Shayne. Now, I don't think when it comes to names, for me personally, I don't think anywhere can beat Choiseul when it comes to names, eh?
I totally agree. Choiseul, I mean the name Choiseul itself.
Name, so, yes.
Choiseul. All right.
I like how you say it. Say it again.
Choiseul. The
Very
name
French.
alone of the district, it's so beautiful, you know, as you said. So, yeah, I agree with you. All these wonderful names from Choiseul, a place with so many hamlets and villages and so on. It's going to be very interesting to for us to do Choiseul. But we're heading to the village.
Say, all Shabins come from Choiseul?
Oh, yeah. I'm Choiseul and Canaries.
Trust you, Shayne.
Okay, so we're now in Choiseul village, very small village, just one street, and we're standing right in front of the Choiseul church.
Yes.
Now this area was originally known as Inciton Oneka, and it was listed on maps from the 1750s as that. It was an established and independent parish from 1765. And the 1769 census recorded a population of whites, free, colored people, Negroes, and a number of estates. The parish was named after Etienne François de Choiseul, Duc de Choiseul. And he was a prominent French duke who served as a Secretary of State on Foreign Affairs and played a key role in French diplomacy during the 18th century.
Very interesting facts there, Shayne. And we also know that this district is small, just about 10 square miles in area, and the population is only about 6,128 people. The village is also small, and then you just have the population spread over numerous hamlets throughout the district as well.
That's right.
And then you also have the names, which is
before
what...
you go to the names. I know you're excited and you want to go to those
the
nice,
names,
fancy names.
yes.
Okay? Before you get to the names. Choiseul is well known for its indigenous craft and pottery. Basket weaving and clay pots are made. These are skills that are handed down from generation to generation.
That's right.
Now, interestingly, there's another Choiseul somewhere in the world. In the Solomon Islands, there's an island, one of the big islands called Choiseul, and also the parish. And you would not believe what they are known for.
It cannot be the same thing, Shayne. Seriously?
Pottery and basket weaving.
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
That is pretty cool. I love that.
Yep.
And
we
so
can go to the names
now we can get to the names?
Yes, we can go to the
Okay,
names.
so if I know off the top of my head,
how many do you know?
La Fag, La Poète, Mogouche, Monsieur.
Nice.
There's more?
Yeah.
Victoria Day. Remember we were talking about Victoria Day? Yes.
Right. There's also Montjac, Ravineau, Delcé, Lariche, Daquitin,
Franciu.
That's right. Big up Courtney from
And
Franciu.
also our 2025 National Carnival Queen, Miss Emily Tisaw. She is Mamai Franciu. I love that.
So there's so much more. Trust me, there's Dibra, Lamas, Reunion, Industry, Riverdore. We need to do a whole show on Choiseul alone and the communities, the hamlets in Choiseul.
Yes,
The
Shayne. You
interesting
promise?
names. I promise.
I think that's going to be a really good segment.
I think so. All right.
So we're ready?
Yes, let's continue.
Where we heading to?
heading down
Anskawet.
To Anskawet.
Anskawet.
To find out where Anskawet is. We're going
Let's
down
go.
there now. All right, let's go.
Choiseul.
Oh, yeah.
Choiseul
Okay,
was
cool.
fun, Shayne. Choiseul was fun and interesting, and
Yes, it was.
I'm looking forward to actually exploring the district more and making, some more episodes just district by district.
You know, this next district that we're going to, Oneka, has some very beautiful names as well and very interesting names.
I can't wait to hear them and
Yes,
learn
when
more
you
about
get
this
there, you will
district.
be like, what? Where's that? What does that mean? So
So it's
also some
another
very
exciting
interesting-
district.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be there soon. We're almost there. We're just passing through Piai.
PI. Now we are in the People's Republic of Labrie. People's Republic of Labrie.
That's right, yes. And I also have to note that this is Oneka's village in law. All right, so
I
it's
wonder why.
an adopted village,
I
but a
wanna
village
say-
in law.
Special hello to the James family from Labrie. So I'll tell you some more about Labrie. Of course, it has its rich history, shaped in both its French colonial influence as well as its original connection to the local environment. And that's mainly because it was once called
Ile Akaret.
Ile Akawechin. You know the Creoles with my mom.
The French.
The Creole, the French.
That's right.
Ile Akawet. And that's a name referencing a large sandbar that was once found in the bay, and of course it was a nesting ground for turtles. Kawet.
That's right.
Okay,
There you
makes
go.
sense. And then the village was later renamed after Baron de Labrie, who became and served as the French governor of Saint Lucia from 1784 all the way to 1789. Based on the information I have, it's correct.
That's right. Okay. So actually, the old French maps, the 18th century French maps, have the area listed as Anse à Chal, with a large island in the bay named Ile Akaret. And the district starts from La Rivière Dorée and ends at Black Bay River. And on those French maps, it's actually named La Rivière Noire. And we've changed it to Black Bay, and it's as Anse Noire as well.
You mentioned
Right?
that.
Yes. So the district has an area of 13.05 square miles and a population from the 2010 census of 7,363 people. Our beloved former Governor General, right? Dame Paulette Louise is from Labrie.
Proud products of Labrie.
That's right.
Beautiful.
So
Shayne, the names.
The
I
names.
know they have a lot of really good names, so I am interested to learn about
Yes.
the names, the pronunciation, the names.
a lot of names. As I said, it starts from River Dorée and then comes all the way down to Asnoa or the Black Bay River or Black Bay. So the communities of Labrie District include Balambush, which sounds, I had an interesting conversation with a former colleague of mine, French guy, and we were always intrigued with the name Balambush, right? And he had two theories that he had found. One was that Balambush means bullet in the mouth, because remember back in the day what they used, there was like a little ball, a ball. So a bullet is still called a ball. So apparently the owner of the estate was shot in the mouth and it was called Balambush. The other theory was that the way the point was shaped, it looked like a lip, a hanging lip, a Balambush. So he had these two theories that he used to discuss with me, but as to confirming which one is correct and how the place got its name, we never really, finalized it. So there are also interesting places like Balka, Londonderry,
I
Gayabois.
love the sound.
Yeah, I love the sound of Gayabois. Salty Bus, Bus Lagras, Park Estate,
Another good
Jet
one.
Queen, McDomel. And there's so many
All
more.
very interesting.
Very
Shayne.
interesting,
I
son.
think that
Yes.
again is another episode.
That's another
Another
episode
district,
for all
another
these interesting
episode.
names that we have right in the district of Labrie. All right.
So where are we going to be heading to now? I think the south.
We're heading south. We're keeping south, the southernmost district for the next one, which is VA4. I'm so glad you said VA4.
Yes, VA4.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Sticking to that.
All right. So we're out.
Shayne, I think for all of us growing up, we would have learned that this next district that we're going to here for was a major base, a major military base in the World War. For me, I'm just wondering how much of that, still exists. Are there any remnants of
The infrastructure.
military, the infrastructure, military machinery, anything like that still exists? And I think even the airport currently sits on some remnants
That's right.
of a base.
Our current Uranora International Airport was built on what was Bean, I think it was called Bean Airfield, named after, I think, the commander of the base
Wow.
at the time. So this
Bean
was a
Airfield.
Bean Airfield.
Would that have anything to do with them being sent to
Beanfield?
Beanfield?
That's right.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
All right.
It's all linked.
It's all linked.
The stories,
That's
the
right.
synergies, it's all there.
In some parts of Viewfort, some of the hills, you have gun mounts that are still there.
Still erected.
People have built over them and so on. The
Wow.
airport, as we said, you could still see the remains of the airport still there. Even St. Jude Hospital, right? St.
know
Jude
there's a
Hospital.
very interesting story
very
attached to
interesting
St.
story
Jude
about
Hospital.
St. Jude Hospital. It was part of the whole military area. There's a place in VA4 called cantonment.
Cantonment.
Okay, a cantonment is a military term. A cantonment is a camp, basically, a
Right.
place where the soldiers are living and staying. The cantonment. So St. Jude Hospital was a victim of what is termed the fog of war. The fog of war is basically the things during a war.
That could go wrong.
You have little errors, mistakes that are made
That have
because you just
arrived.
don't see it happening. So the military hospital was actually scheduled for Trinidad, but everything was coded at the time. But there was a one-digit error in the code when
Just
you were
one
sending
digit.
the communication, and they made that error instead of going to Trinidad. That one error sent everything to Saint
St.
Lucia.
Lucia.
And
Wow.
by the time they realized that there was an error, construction was
Construction
well
had started.
underway.
Wow.
So they left the hospital.
And that's how we ended up with St. Jude Hospital.
Yeah. After the war and the base was vacated by the Americans, of course the facility was closed. And it remained closed until the early 60s when the Sisters of the Sorrowful Mother acquired the property and opened the St. Jude Hospital there. And that's how we
Still
found
have it today.
the hospital. But we're entering VA4 right now. And now how this district got its name is very interesting, but we'll hear about that a little later.
Okay. Viewfort is an interesting name. I know, Shayne. VA4.
Thank
I'm
you.
not saying Viewfort again. I know you say VA4 all the time. I always wondered about that. Huh?
Yes, VA4. People have anglicized the name a lot, and they spell it as it looks. View Fort.
Right.
Even though they actually anglicize. I mean, they just get it wrong completely, right? But I refuse to do that. Okay, now if you know the history of how the town and the district got its name, you would understand. And why I just refuse to say Viewfort and always say VA4. Now remember, the first Europeans who had a settlement on Saint Lucia, they got here by accident. The British ship, the Olive Blossom, run aground at a point in VA4 down there called Pointe Matouin. And they lived here for a while. but the Caribs were not very friendly, so they had to defend themselves from the Caribs. So they built a fortification to protect and defend themselves from the Caribs. But in the end, it was not even the Caribs that got to them. It was actually malaria and local diseases.
Oh, wow.
Right? So eventually they abandoned the fort. So years later, when the French got here, guess what they found? The remains of the fort. And the French, so creative and imaginative as they were, guess what they called it? An old fort. Or in French, un vieux fort.
And because that's what they found.
And the name stuck. That's it. Vieux fort.
And now that I know that, Shayne, personally, I could never go back to saying Vieux fort. I'm going to stick with Vieux fort.
That's it.
And just to give you some more information, now this district, which took its name again from the early French settlement, extends from Black Bay, or what is Snois, on old French maps, to Savants Bay. It has a total area of 19.22 square miles with a population of about 14,754. Communities include Black Bay, Cantonment, Auger, Cooleytown, Grace, Pierrot, Opico, Bellevue, and a lot more.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it for Vieux fort.
That's it for Vieux fort.
So where are we headed to now, Shayne?
We're heading back up north.
Up north.
But the east coast.
This time we're on the east coast.
So on this side, we're going up this side.
Whew.
I have to say the view from here is amazing.
It is absolutely
so beautiful.
Breathtaking.
You could see all.
Y'all should have heard me, because the first time I saw this, and this is my first time up here, the first time I saw this, I was just completely blown away. How can you not love Saint Lucia? How can you not appreciate this? I said, thank you, God. I have eyes to see. Because you cannot explain this view to somebody. You have to see it for yourself.
That's right.
Spectacular.
Okay, up here at Molashik. So goodbye to Vieux fort. We're
Bye,
leaving Molashik and
Vieux
heading up the east coast to Micoud.
Micoud. So Shayne, oh my goodness, the East Coast, it's, just so different to the West Coast.
Absolutely.
For me, I love, that the deep bays, the rugged
coast
terrain and landscape. But speaking of the deep bays and the seas and the rough seas, by the way.
Rough seas?
Yeah, I love it from a distance. I'll watch it, but I cannot swim, so I would not venture. I will not venture there, Shayne.
The Atlantic has formed some really wonderful coves and bays along this coast. And the next district we go into, the longest peninsula, which ends at the most easterly point of Saint Lucia, is actually in this district. Actually, it's right in the village itself. Okay, it's called Vierge Point.
Vierge.
You guess
Point.
what that means?
Vierge, something to do with virgin.
Yes, Virgin Point. I don't know why it's called Vierge Point. I'm not sure. Maybe it was a place where they made sacrifices to the gods of fertility.
No, Shayne. No, we're not doing sacrifices.
Like into further the Qualibu,
no, exactly. We're not doing sacrificing nobody anymore. Not the virgins. Not leave our ancestors alone, please.
But a very interesting name, would you say?
Very interesting name.
Point Vierge or
Virgin Point.
But we're heading to Micoud. Please do not say Micoud. You got it right when we were doing the streets, when you said Micoud Street.
Micoud.
Very good. So Micoud. So Micoud, here we come.
And now we are in Micoud.
Micoud.
And it is named after a French governor, Baron de Micoud. He's an 18th century French governor. And the village was once a hub for sugarcane and cotton plantations. And now the community has become a vibrant and thriving and diverse hub for rich cultural exchange and a wave of migration as well, Shayne.
That's right. Micoud is actually the largest district with an area of 43.29 square miles. And this is largely due to the absorption of Praslin district after 2001. It has a population of 16,284 people, scattered in communities like Viger, Angers, Derisso, Blanchard, Douga, Tirocher, all the way to Micoud village. And then Magritout, La Pointe, Lombard, Monrepo, Praslin, and more.
And Shayne, our queen of culture, Sesen Descartes, is from Miku, well, Monrepo,
Monrepo, that's
Miku.
right.
And I think, Shayne, there are some very beautiful and interesting names in Miku, so we might have another episode.
I totally agree.
We'll
There's
break
so
it
much
down
to
again.
explore in Miku, so maybe an episode just for Miku as well.
I agree.
All right, so we're heading to the last district now,
Mm-hmm.
number 10. And I hope we get some fish there.
Oh, I'm
It's known
hungry.
for fish, so
Yes, so
well,
now
let's
we're
hurry
heading
quickly
to
and see if we get some fish in
Dennery.
We'll see you there. Okay, so we are at the last point.
Last
well, the
district.
last district.
Yes.
All right, so we're actually at Mandalay Point, overlooking
Mandalay Point.
Dennery Village, and you can see Dennery Island in the background.
Love it.
So
Beautiful.
this is Dennery Village down there. In early maps, it's listed as Asconot, which translates to Bay of Canoes. Now, it was later named after Victor Thérèse Charpentier d'Hennery,
Wow.
who was the Marquis and later the Count of Hennery. He would be, in French, the Count d'Hennery.
Okay, so the
There you
okay,
go.
okay.
Now, as mentioned earlier about rebracketing, where you just lose kind of those
And
the
it just
boundaries,
joins.
and it just joins to Dennery. Over time, they just became Dennery.
And the district itself is made up mostly of the Mabuya Valley. Now, it has an area of 27.93 square miles with a population of about 12,767 people as per the 2010 census. Most of that is scattered in communities throughout the valley, including Lacaille, Limier, Richefort, Olio, La Ressource, Denier Rivière, Gadet, Delaide. Delaide. I know I was going to mess that up, Shayne, but that's why I have you here. Pronounce that again for me.
Delaide.
Delaide. Beautiful names.
Beautiful name. Again,
And I know there's so many
another whole
more.
episode I think we need to do.
Delaide. That's so
Yes.
true.
Very
And Shayne, if you think of the Neg Mawon,
Oh my
they
gosh,
they
yes.
literally use this area as a corridor, you know, for their freedom and for the battle. The fiercest warriors were famed to come from the valley, giving it the name Lion's Den.
Oleon. That's right.
Makes sense. And the popular Dennery segment.
That's right. Has its
Big up
roots.
Oompa, has its roots right here in Mabuya Valley.
the
Oompa,
valley.
Mighty Servants, you know, them jamming entertainment as well.
That's it. Now that name, Mabuya, very interesting. Because in the early maps, from way back, the French maps, they actually have us Mabuya, even though Mabuya is not a French word.
Interesting.
Yes. Now, Mabuya is a Amerindian name for the gecko, the house gecko. And
Everybody have them at their
That's
home.
right. And we still use it today. We still
So-
call them Mabuya.
So Aunt Mabuya would be Bay of...
Bay
of
of the
Ma-
geckos, the Mabuyas, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And it is the interesting thing is that it is not a French word. Okay, so the French
They
just
mix
inherited
them.
it most likely
Yeah.
from the Amerindians who lived there, maybe
Before
called
them.
it that as
Right.
well. Okay, and also the term Mabuya, the word is not just an Amerindian word, but in both Amerindian and in some African cultures, Mabuya or Maboya refers to a lizard-like or reptile-like creature with shiny eyes that roams through the night. And it was supposed to refer to some kind of a spiritual
Okay.
being that
Scary
came out
stories
only
that
at
we
night.
tell the children at
Scary
night.
stories
Eh?
we tell the children for the word Mabuya.
Very interesting
Yes.
one there.
Yep. And that's it. That's our final district. We're going to
Yes.
head back up and try to reach Castries, but we will close overlooking the beautiful city of Castries.
I love this.
And this has been a wonderful tour of the districts of Saint
The
Lucia.
10 districts of Saint Lucia.
That's right.
Pretty awesome. Yeah.
And that's it. This is where we end our journey. A beautiful day all around the island, looking at all of the 10 districts. 10 names, 10 mirrors reflecting who we are as a people.
And on this Emancipation Day, we remember those places, those districts. They aren't just geography, they're testimony.
That's right. Know
Know
your
your
name,
name,
know your story. We'll see you in our next adventure.